I call to order the Monday, February 19th meeting of the River Falls Board of Education. This meeting has been properly notified. I have two quick announcements before the Pledge of Allegiance. The first one is that Jamie Benson is not with us tonight because he had successful planned surgery today. Hopefully his back pain will be lessened. The other thing is I want to recognize that three of the people on the spring school board ballot are with us tonight. We have Alan Techtenhagen, Monica Lavold, and Bo Herstein in the back. So thank you for being here to learn about prospective service. All right, we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any visitors or delegations who would like to address the board this evening? All right, then we are going to move on to informational items, and the first one is the Wildcat Pride Award.
All right, tonight we're going to be honoring a longtime teacher at Greenwood here, Steve Pop. Come on up. So, Steve has started a club at Greenwood. It is the, what do you call the club? It's a carving, just a carving club. Yeah. All right. So the Board of Education wishes to commend you for your exceptional leadership and unwavering dedication to the Greenwood Carving Club. Through this club, students of all academic abilities are given the opportunity to work on long-term projects that allows them to develop important skills such as planning, creativity, perseverance, and responsibility. Additionally, your efforts have helped to foster meaningful relationships with students and their families outside of the traditional classroom setting. You are a true ambassador of Wildcat Pride.
Yeah, sure. I'm an avid outdoor enthusiast or what have you, and a few years back I was introduced into carving my own wooden blocks, and I thought, what a great opportunity for kids to work with their hands and not have something immediate that they had to stick with and keep with and kind of go through a whole range of emotions. And I don't know, a couple these kids might tell you that there's good days and there's bad days, but I wanted them to walk away with something tangible, physical they could look at and be proud of. And we had last year 23 students carve, and we did an American widgeon, and this year they upped the game. Not only with the bird species, we did wood duck drakes, but also we had 27 carvers. So,
And all age, what
fourth and fifth grade.
Fourth and fifth grade.
Yeah.
And you meet how often?
Boy, we did lunches. Let's see, fifth grade we did lunches this year, and fourth grade we did after school, and then opened things up a few evenings as well. So
Great.
We started it back in October and wrapped up our initial set here the first week in February.
Looks like you have some beaming students here. I understand maybe you want to come up here and maybe talk about Mr. Pop and the program. And also, thank you. You guys bring down the average age of our school. Appreciate it very
I'm
much.
talk in here so if you talk in here, they can hear you better, okay?
Can you
Yep.
move it down?
Can you guys introduce yourselves before you speak?
Say your name first.
My name is Emma Miller, and I'm a fourth grader at Greenwood. And this year I learned how to carve a duck with Mr. Pop. We didn't just learn how to carve a duck, we learned about different character traits too. One of the character traits we learned was perseverance. If we made a mistake on our duck, Mr. Pop helped us fix it and keep trying. I had fun at Duck Carving Club, but also learned how to develop the skill of perseverance and other character traits. Thank you, Mr. Pop, for this opportunity.
My name is Luca Bursing. I'm also in fourth grade. I want to thank Mr. Pop for all the time and effort he put into helping us with our ducks.
Hello, my name is Stanton. I was lucky to be part of Mr. Pop's Carving Club this year. I feel very lucky we have this opportunity at Greenwood, and I would like to thank Mr. Pop.
My name's Chloe Rushink, and I love to carve. It was fun to try new things and persevere through it because it was really hard.
A couple things, Stanton, I see a red ribbon hanging on your duck. Could you come and explain to us about your red ribbon?
Well, there were 36 entries. We went to Minnesota at a hotel, and there was a competition put on. There were some adult entries and children entries, and there were different categories, so we weren't competing against adults, but we were competing against teenagers. So I ended up getting second place.
All right. We got some up-and-coming public speakers here, too, I think.
We certainly do.
Good job.
This is one of the many things that makes the River Falls School District great. So, Steve, thank you for all of the work. I know it's extra days after school and planning when you have already many other things to do, but this is the kind of dedication that we see from our teachers, and we're grateful. It also, I noticed the number of kids who talked about perseverance, and my guess is that skill now will translate into persevering when writing is hard, and when math is hard, and when reading is hard to be able to get through. So, thank you very much. It's a great honor for the district, for you, for the school, for everyone. I think we also should realize, am I correct in thinking that the Ford Foundation provides some funding for this?
Yeah, they,
Okay.
last year they helped out and we were able to buy some gouges and chisels and materials and things too. It's a pretty consumable type of program, and so yeah, they were wonderful in helping us out. So,
So-
thank you, Ford Foundation too.
Yeah, that's another example of the number of people who are supportive of the students in our district. And kids, I have to say, I am extraordinarily impressed with your ducks. And with the attention to detail, oh my goodness. I'm really impressed, and thank you for coming. Thank you very much for coming. It's usually a lot of grown-ups here, but our favorite is when some kids come to meetings. So I'll tell you also that you are more than welcome to stay for the meeting because it might help you, these budding public speakers, to think of something you'd like to do when you're a grown-up. But if you'd rather go home, it is all right. It is not rude. All right, so. We will move on to reports, and we have our students with us this evening.
It's okay to sneak in.
Yeah.
All right. Not much has changed. I do want to mention that we have a lot of teams, activities going to state. Just the ones that I could remember. We have dive, swim, dance, mock trial, wrestling, and then our basketball teams, both girls and boys, are doing amazing. And that was just the ones I could find.
We also, obviously, a quarter of our high school is seniors, so they're interested in college. A lot of people have been getting back their college applications and acceptances, and I have heard of a lot of my friends and companions at my school getting accepted into Madison, which is a lot of people's dream college. So we had a good academic year of college acceptance. So yeah.
Well, that's exciting. We're proud of all those students. All right, we are going to move on to administrative reports, and the first one will be from Greenwood and the Public Montessori.
She has the thing.
She must be thanking her kids. That's pretty impressive, Kate.
That went quick.
That's your school. That's a pretty
I know.
impressive
So
event.
exciting. All right. Oh, the clicker's working, so that's good. So I'm just here to give you an update on our SMART goals over at Greenwood. We had 3 SMART goals that we set this year, just like all of the other schools. So our first goal was to decrease the number of students that are at some are high risk on our FastBridge math assessments. Some of the things that we've been doing is focusing on our math instruction and just making sure that we are teaching our everyday math curriculum with fidelity. And some ways that we've been doing that is just being in classrooms, talking more about our math instruction during our collaboration time. Today we held actually 4. This says 3, but after I did these slides, we added another session. So we did 4 sessions on working with our everyday math curriculum today during the in-service day. And then we have another round of data digs that we'll be doing the first week in March to look at our assessment data, classroom assessment data, and how that we see that translating into our instruction. Our second goal is to work on our VAB strategies, so validate, affirm, build, and bridge common cultural behaviors. We were doing that during staff meetings. We've currently worked on eye contact and proximity. And then for our third goal is to strengthen our character education program. You just saw some evidence of how students are applying perseverance, which happens to be this month's character trait. We've been talking a lot about persevering and what are different ways that we can persevere at home, at school, working hard and trying even when things get hard. So some of the things that we've done that are new this year, because coming into River Falls, it was no secret as a new principal that character education is a big part of what we do every single day. But some new things are a character strong curriculum at Greenwood. And we've been using that in our pride groups pretty much all year. We've started to do more of the lessons like in our classrooms on weeks when they don't meet with the counselor. And then we have our monthly assemblies, which has been something that Greenwood has done for a long time. That this year our theme has been Character Rocks. So kind of rock and roll theme, and the kids have really been enjoying it. If you've seen the Trolls movie, you'll kind of get the theme. So yeah, we've been adding in a lot more with morning announcements. So we do I talk about the character trait of the month every single morning on the announcements, and we have students come in and share how they're demonstrating that character trait every day. So our students that lead the pledge also talk about character traits. Okay, I'll hand it over to Kai.
Thanks.
Hit the arrow. Yep.
I don't have one of these, so. Hi. Yet. That's right, yet. First, I'm Kai, the principal over at the Montessori School. Thank you so much for those that came to our ed programming night. It was really fun. The staff that were there and the parent supporters were just thrilled with the discussion that we had on the tours. So thank you so much for taking that time with us. So we have 3 goals like every other school. Ours are a little bit more Montessori focused. So the first one is Montessori Peace Education, utilizing the Mind Up curriculum, the Virtues Project, No Place for Hate, and Montessori Peace Education in general for our whole school. So we have used our Mind Up curriculum, which is really it's out of Columbia University. It's really talking a lot about mindfulness and just attaching a child's brain to their bodies and using it in a way that makes sense for why things kind of derail once in a while and being able to use language around that for students. We have a No Place for Hate team of students that meets twice a month, and they plan our monthly assembly that's always focused on a peacemaker. So last month they did Martin Luther King Jr. This month they're working on Maria Montessori. They get to choose, and they do all the research, and they do that off time. And then when we get together, we spend time editing and making posters and designing how they're going to do that assembly. Let's see, we have been doing a lot of training at our in-services and our staff meetings about just Montessori common language to foster peace and accountability and what that looks like. Today, we spent an hour doing that with our whole staff because our assistants were there today. And we were really looking at grace and courtesy, and that is a big foundational component of Montessori education, which is character education in Montessori terms. So we spent a lot of time doing that today and talking about the next steps for that and what that can look like, you know, in a whole school setting. We also are beginning our training for class councils, which is kind of restorative practices and restorative circles within each classroom weekly. It's a Montessori thing, and we're having our teachers going out and observing other schools that already implement class councils. And really, it's a way to foster accountability and connection between students, and so that it kind of becomes their classroom and their rules and their guidelines. So, and being able to talk about that in a safe space without pointing out individual students. So kind of bringing that collective good together. So far, some of it is going really well. The engagement of students in peace is amazing, and how excited they get for assemblies and how much talk goes around that, not just for the No Place for Hate team, but throughout the building. You can ask them all sorts of things like, what was Dr. Martin Luther King's real name? And what was his favorite movie? And things like that. So there's a lot more kind of discussion around that. There's also kind of that common language and that modeling that teachers and staff are doing is really starting to kind of take hold. And we see that in the language that students are using with one another and with their fellow classmates and the teachers. The numbers, like in terms of, office referrals and issues that we're dealing with, those numbers aren't shifting yet. We didn't expect them to at this point in the year, just mostly because not all of our students that need support are getting support yet, and we're still in that process. We've kind of talked about that before. And also just because we're still rolling out kind of what a class council is and what grace and courtesy is, and really still getting the staff that training. So it's in process. Our second goal is reading growth, an increase in student achievement. We've designed and implemented a new multi-tiered system of support. We've increased our title support for students. We've given a lot of collaboration times between title and teachers. And we've worked hard with our instructional coach and our title teacher to help our classroom teachers, have tier 2 interventions to Fidelity, and really having that refresher course of what Montessori is in terms of literacy and how we roll that out. It's a slow process. That's all. We're still looking at a lot of students who are qualifying for special education. We keep our school psychologists' plate full at this point. A lot of students that we thought, when they kind of go through title, you think, okay, we're kind of getting them caught up to where they need so that they can get back into the classroom. And what we're finding is there's a higher number of students that are actually qualifying for special education services. So and as you know, special education is still on the newer end in our building. So that's to be expected. So we're just kind of working through that and hoping that students will have the supports they need over the next year. Last one is we've been working to align our Montessori curriculum to state standards. That work has been finished for both ELA and math. Now we are building those scope and sequences, basically just the curriculum, the way that it kind of lines up for us, so that it can be one document for the whole school that follows a child no matter what class they're in. That's trickier because all teachers have to have consensus about what lessons those are, what they're called, and when they happen in the scope and sequence. So there's a lot of collaboration during our PLC time and at our in-services. Today was the last day that we were working on the math scope and sequence. I would say it's probably 90% finished. Pretty proud of that because it's huge. It's a huge document that they've been working on. So we will be gearing up to start looking at Montessori structured literacy and how that relates to Act 20 next. And that is all I've got. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I want to make one comment. I appreciated when you said that you haven't moved the data on office visits yet, essentially meaning that you have not met that goal.
Yep.
We wouldn't expect all of these goals to be met by February, but I appreciate the forthrightness in terms of just specifically saying it because it means that you're working toward it. So thank you. Are there other comments? thank you both for all of the work and the leadership that you do, and extend it to your teachers and paras, because I know that doing the work is on their shoulders. All right. We are going to move on to the administrative report, and in Jamie's absence, David Bella is going to provide this report. It's really good for him because he's getting some practice.
It's like totally different at this angle. Yeah. So hopefully I can get used to it. Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate the chance to just have a couple final reminders regarding the referendum and then some other things that are going on in the school district. So tomorrow is the big vote. So polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. There's a link there to My Vote Wisconsin, which helps a resident understand where their specific polling location is. It's the same polling location that they would use for any other vote. But if they're new to that and they're not quite sure where that is, that link can help them. It can also help them with any other requirements that they would need to bring to make sure that they can register to vote. Just want to say that we appreciate the time and effort that's put in by the city and township clerks, as well as the election officials who will put in a pretty long day tomorrow. So we thank them for that effort. This is pretty small, but if you have a chance to look, it's just a picture of the two questions that will be on the ballot. The first question is the authorization to exceed the levy limit. So that's our operating referendum question. And then question 2 is the authorization to issue a bond and that bond is associated with our facilities referendum. So the first question is the question to exceed the levy, and the second question is to issue bonds for a facilities upgrade. And one thing to stress is that residents have the opportunity to vote yes or no on question 1, and as well as yes or no on question 2. You can do it in any sequence that you want. It's not tied. So if you vote yes for question 1, it doesn't mean you have to vote yes for question 2, and vice versa. Each of those are an opportunity in and of itself for a resident to vote. So a lot of things that have been asked lately have gone around to what happens next. And so I just kind of wanted to stress the fact that the administrative team has already started key planning elements for the upcoming school year, and the results of the referendum will kind of guide our next steps. So if question 1, the operating referendum, passes, our planning includes preserving existing services, programs, and resources, as well as making sure that we're being good stewards to the community investment in public education. And the purpose of this operational referendum is to maintain existing services and maintain staff. So don't expect, if the referendum passes, that we're going to come with a whole host of new things, because this is really to maintain the services that we have. So if question number 1, the operating referendum, fails, then the district's going to have to reduce expenses moving forward, and those expenses will likely result in cuts, and that those cuts include reductions in programming, services, and staff, as well as the deferral of tech projects and other resource purchases. So one might think, well, I've seen the ratio of our faculty to students and surmise that we can make some cuts and maintain class sizes within our current guidelines. One thing I just wanted to point out is that our faculty ratios are not the same thing as our class sizes. Average class sizes are normally larger than our faculty ratio because the faculty ratio includes faculty such as counselors, and those counselors don't work directly with students in the regular setting. In addition, the faculty ratio includes specialists at the elementary school, like our music, our PE teachers, and art, and these specialists are working with our students while the regular education teachers are using their prep time. So our class sizes vary. Our primary grades have averages kind of 20 to 21. Up to 28 to 30 in some of our core high school classes. And if the referendum fails, those numbers will rise. There's really no way around that. The administrative team will consider all of these factors and provide specific strategies as soon as March if the referendum were to not pass. But that planning will continue until we get all the information that we need to make our final decisions. And some of that information we won't have in March, but we will start to make some immediate decisions in March. Moving on to question 2. If question 2 passes, then we're going to be able to address the identified safety, security, building systems, grounds, and infrastructure improvements that are outlined that have been talked about a lot, as well as construct a bus and vehicle maintenance shop and related facilities, and construct the multipurpose indoor facility. Those planning and design developments would start in the spring. Major construction wouldn't probably take place until summer of '25. If question 2 fails, the district will still prioritize what they can from a safety standpoint, but will defer the other identified maintenance projects. We'll continue to use the current transportation facility, and we'll seek other ways to address the multi-purpose space issues that we have at the high school. So this just has a link, and it's out there for people if they don't know where to find referendum materials. I kind of chuckle because I think it's pretty easy to find in the world that we are now information about that. The website has lots of that information, and we've tried to do our best to get that out. So I just wanted to thank those that have aided in the efforts to share information regarding the questions, so our residents have that information. There's employees that have worked incredibly hard to provide accurate and timely information, and we thank them for their efforts. I also wanted to thank residents that have spent time to come to one or more of the community informational sessions. The dialogue, the questions, the requests for clarification, the positive and the critical feedback have all really helped the district provide transparent information about the 2 referendum questions. It's been a big process. We just want to thank everybody who's been part of it. So one might think that that's all that our focus has been over the last 18 months, but that's not true. There's a lot of things that go on within our district, and I just wanted to highlight 3 things for the board that are taking place at the moment that kind of represent some of the things that we're doing as a district. Curriculum review, teachers at all levels and subject areas are participating in a systematic, I knew I was gonna screw that up, process to continuously review curriculum. The review includes leadership teams that are looking at program effectiveness, prioritizing learning standards, vertically aligning outcomes, determining appropriate resources. The review also includes ongoing collaboration between teachers to identify effective strategies and evaluate student learning. All this work takes place in the spaces between face-to-face instruction, before and after regular class, during in-service days, and over the summer. Another thing that I wanted to highlight is our sophomore conferences. It's one element of our district's comprehensive school counseling program. The high school and Ren counseling teams invite parents and guardians to attend a planning meeting with their child in the spring of their sophomore year. And the goal is to meet with every sophomore and their parents. That's 273 families. And the purpose of the meeting is to review the student's learning profile, their academic strengths, their interests, their progress. And at the meeting, the students have the opportunity to better understand how those interests and goals line up to their current progress and their goals after high school. It's a really powerful opportunity for families to come together and talk about their child's future. And then the last thing I wanted to highlight is employee mentorship. So as our onboarding process, one component to that is to have our employees benefit from the support of their experienced colleagues. One specific group that this has been especially important with is our paraprofessionals. So all of our paras are assigned an experienced mentor when they're hired, and the mentor is a key point of contact for that new employee. Through ongoing meetings and check-ins, the mentor helps the new para learn the critical elements of the job and understand the culture of the building. Feedback from our new paras over the last 18 months has been that this has been really positive as we've become more intentional with this program. And it represents the skills and the professionalism, especially of our ongoing paras. The work that they do is really critical. And we feel really excited about that program and their ability to exert their leadership and support of our new employees. So as we move kind of from the winter months, sort of excited to maybe think that we maybe won't have much snow anymore, but I probably just jinxed that. And into the spring, we're excited to finish strong for 23-24 and get ready and start to prepare for 24-25.
All right.
I think you already
We should
said
just
that-
say a monstrous thank you to the administrative team for the great job they did on not only just planning, but working up to the referendum. So much work to decide what not to do, really, and what were the very essential things that need to be done in this district. And I just can't say enough about the great job that the team has done, Jamie Benson and the rest of the administrative team, and being out there and answering people's questions, being everywhere and anywhere to talk to people, to get in front of people, to help them understand the needs of the school district. So, great job.
Well said, Allison. Thank you, Dave. All right, we are going to move on to action items. So before the board this evening, we have Meeting minutes from the January 22nd regular Board of Education meeting. We have bills that have been submitted for payment as well as employment recommendations. So at this point, is there a motion to approve minutes, bills, and employment as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Cindy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. Alan, I will turn to you for an update on the Educational Program Committee meeting as well as your approval.
Thank you, Stacy. On February 5th, we had a really nice committee meeting, and we did another one that was off-site. This one was at the Montessori School, and I'll say a few words about that a little bit later. We had several issues that came in front of us. One was a nice presentation by Rachel Jurdy, who is a high school science teacher, and she gave us a presentation about her planning to take a group to Panama in the summer and June of 2025. And it was very interesting. It's very well thought out. I thought her presentation was great. And we like to see these kinds of things, even though they can be kind of pricey. So we had the typical questions about fundraising opportunities and those kinds of things for students. This may be a little bit out of reach, but it was really well done. And so we had that, and I think we'll take action on that before we move on to the other items. So I will move that we approve the preliminary field application for the Panama trip for June 2025.
Thank you, Alan and Lindsay. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried.
I should say, when we had we had this committee meeting over there, the committee members are Lindsay Curtis and Cindy Holbrook, as well as myself, but we had the entire board there. So as I'm saying this, if it sounds a little perfunctory for us, I'm giving the update more for people who might be tuning in. But it was nice to have the whole board there, because this was really on site, being in one of our buildings and interacting with our staff. So that was good. Nate Sherman, our Director of Academic Services, also gave us an update on the language arts adoption process. We've talked about that several times throughout the year here, and he's been giving us updates on how we look at the district adopting a new language arts curriculum, the opportunities for input, the makeup of the committee, engaging the community generally, and all those kinds of things. It's a little complicated right now because Act 20 that happened a year ago in the Wisconsin legislature, that passed the Wisconsin legislature, has some very specific things about how reading should be taught. The problem is their timeline for adoption and the adoption process for most school districts across the state doesn't quite match. So Nate gave us some updates about how we're working with them, and there possibly will be some adjustments to the legislation this year so that we can all land in the right place and not have to spend more money than we need to simply because the timing is off a little bit on the legislation. So that might be fixed. But it was a very good conversation, good update, Nate, about that process. And then Nate also gave us an update on the Human Growth and Development Advisory Committee, which we have here within the district. And we talked about the membership of that, how that committee will function, the different parts of what that means in terms of the Human Growth and Development Committee. All the information about that is on the main page, school district's webpage. So Nate has told me that it's all there, and if anybody's got any questions about either of these last two, the Language Arts Development Program or Human Growth and Development Advisory Committee, want some more, they can find that information on the website or contact Nate directly. He'd be more than happy to respond to them. Then after we had that business stuff, we had a really fun part, and I want to thank Kai and her staff for letting us see the Montessori again. Periodically, we get into some of our buildings, and it had been a while since we had been at the Montessori. And they not only gave us a very good presentation about not just what they're doing, but a lot about Montessori in theory and what it means and all of that. Because as a district, one of our operating things for a long time has been that we want to be a district of choice for families, and we want to provide options and choices for them within the district. And having a Montessori elementary makes this district very, very unique. There aren't a lot of those around. So it's different in their approaches. You heard some of it tonight is a little different than the way our other elementary schools do it, and it was good to get an update on that. see the facilities, and have a lot of opportunity to interact with parents, or quite a few parents there, and some other staff members, counselors, all of that. So really appreciate that update. And that Montessori school is really something we can be proud of here. So thank you again, Kai, for taking us around. And then when we were done, and we stayed a long time, asking questions and touring, kept Kai there very late, but it was fun and interesting. But we talked about our next meeting, and our next meeting will be on March 4th, Monday, March 4th. So any questions or additional comments about the committee meeting or what we covered in that?
Nate, do you want to add anything more about the human growth and development?
Well, we have a meeting set for the advisory committee is going to be on April 9th, so we've predetermined a date. It's going to be at 6 p.m. And what you can find on the website is a link to an interest survey that people can basically apply to be on the committee. There are certain requirements for what kind of people make up the committee. They have to fit into certain categories, so parents, students, teachers, administrators, community members, members of the clergy, and there's a certain percentage or ratio of how those all fit together. So we can't just take everybody that is interested. We'd love to do that, but we have to follow the guidelines that are set by the state in terms of participant ratios. So we'll try and set those and make notice roughly a month before that meeting to give people ample time to make arrangements to participate. And our teachers will come and give a presentation on what it is that they're teaching within the curriculum related to human growth and development. And the Community Advisory Committee can give us feedback and suggestions that we'll take and run within our curriculum cycle.
Thank you. And I believe as another category, physicians or healthcare workers.
That's right,
There's
yep.
another one in there too.
That's correct.
I want to say thanks for sending us the details on the ELA adoption. That was really helpful. And the more you know, the more complicated it gets. So
Yeah,
the grayer it gets, right? So but I really appreciate the information.
thank you.
I want to emphasize what Ellen said too, in terms of Kai, your presentation on the Montessori philosophy. That was really helpful. It was really, I know what grace and courtesy is now when you brought it up at the meeting. So it was, I'm sure, helpful for all of us to have some more insight. All right, finance and facilities, Mike?
All right, well, our committee met on Monday, February 12th. We started the meeting off with a review of our budget. We break down 3 different reports, revenue, expense, and fund balance, and an update on that, and compare how we're doing this year versus last year and this year compared to budget. So everything looks to be in line, and we seem to be running along and waiting for our tax payments to come in because we have we also had a new report, and it's really from our new financial planner that helps us with this report, and it's really a cash flow analysis report that just kind of shows our cash balances at different times in the year, and you can kind of really see in that December timeframe where we're really running low on our cash and just kind of waiting for the January, February payments to come in. So it was a good report. We've kind of asked for that to become a regular part, maybe a quarterly report that Lynette will share with the committee. So anything from your end, Lynette? Okay. The second part of the meeting, the second agenda item was a equalization aid presentation, and it was presented by our partners at Baird and Lynette as well. And it's really kind of a 101. I know a couple of the new, Debbie Burnett is her name, Brunette. This couple of the people running for school board, and it was really a very informational piece. It was kind of like Equalization Aid 101, and really talked about how the state aid works and how we fit into that picture and so on. So anything you want to address on that?
I don't think so.
Okay. There you go.
No, I think what it did was there were some really great questions from the board, and what it gave me was some information that you all are really excited to learn that stuff. So probably expect some more. If we get to the revenue limit worksheet, that's where I really get excited. So yeah, expect that to come.
Yeah, it was great. It was really informational, and really it kind of helps people even that have been on the board for a while kind of gets you, kind of refreshes everything for you. So it was great. I appreciate that. The last thing on our agenda item was the consideration of the purchase of 2 Suburbans from the Cernal Chevrolet. So I would make a motion that we approve the purchase of 2 Suburbans from Cernal Chevrolet at $57,500 each, plus title and license fees.
Thanks, Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Bob. Questions or comments? I'll just say, and then I'll get to you, that this is something that we put into our budget because we would not want to be in a position of not having budgeted money and then not being able to provide safe and appropriate vehicles.
Great.
That would,
Actually, I have a follow-up. There was a question about how many miles are on those vehicles that we are replacing. One of the Suburbans that's being replaced has just a gentle 282,000 miles on it. And then a 1999 Astrovan has 87,000 miles on it. So those are the 2 that will eventually go. We're going to hang on to the Astrovan for a little bit through the summer because actually our Buildings and Grounds uses that for summer work for transporting. And then we're going to talk about next year finding a different suitable vehicle for B&G. But we want to hang on to that just through the summer.
And the Suburban's going to be kept for parts, did you say?
Possibly, they will use what parts they can or store them for some of our other Suburbans to use. Yeah, that's, we just have 2 great mechanics that are always thinking about how they can.
They learned from the master, Ron Weiser. He kept buses that he would steal parts from, retired buses that he was awesome.
Yeah.
And I believe the Astrovan is just in the town. I mean, it's back and forth, schools.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to take that any further than in town.
It doesn't,
Nope.
stop, start, stop, start.
Yeah.
It's beat.
Yeah. She's had a healthy life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
87,000 miles.
All right.
all right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. All right, the Personnel Committee met on February 12th, and we opened the meeting with a staffing update that Dave provided to us. We also received an update about the insurance bidding process. We talked about our statutory responsibility to approve a notice of the beginning of contract negotiations, and so that's an action item that is going to be coming up. We also began what is going to be a very comprehensive, deliberate process of updating our policies. So as a board, we know that one of our most important responsibilities is to establish, monitor, update policies, and we are going to be doing that. This time, we're not only making changes to content, but we're also updating the formatting, going through and making sure that there are some consistencies in terms of language. So tonight, we have 5 policies before us. There are not major adjustments in terms of the content. It is, as I said, to make sure that it matches what we're doing, that words are the correct words, and that the format is updated and it'll be pretty. So one of the ways you're going to be able to tell when we have these new updated policies is this pretty format. So keep track of that. And then we also went into a closed session for a discussion, a preliminary discussion about non-renewal of certified staff. So, do you have anything to add?
The only thing I'd add is that this is the first reading for those 5. So we talk about it in a committee meeting, and now we come for what is the first reading. So if even though we're kind of classifying them as small updates, if you're looking at it and you have a question or you need more clarification, we still have a second reading, or if there's questions that the board has now, we can look at it. But we want to make sure that even though there's 5 policies, we're giving the board a chance to ask any questions that they have.
Mm-hmm. Okay, at this point, do we have a motion to approve the commencement of contract negotiations motion? We really won't be starting that until March or April, but as I said, we need to do this to be in accordance with state statute. So I will make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Cindy. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. I should have said that this was with our two union groups, so it's our teachers and also our bus drivers. And now, is there a motion that we would improve this list of policies that's in the board book? So 522.1, related to a drug-free workplace. 522.4, staff conflicts of interest. 523.1, staff health examinations. 523.3, employee assistance program. And 546.1, related to the resignation of support staff members. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Bob. Questions or comments? This is a lot of work. Our administrators are going to be doing a lot to get this done, so we will do it deliberately over time. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. All right, now we have another policy before the board, and this is the second reading of revised school board policy 432 related to public school open enrollment. This does not look pretty yet because we started doing this review before we made this new template for how our policies are going to look. But rest assured, it's going to get the new, nice look. So this would be the second reading of revised school board policy 332. Is there a motion, please? To approve this reading. Thank you, Cindy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. Do we have any proposed items for future board meeting agendas?
Stacy,
Yes?
maybe just at the next regular board meeting, I'll give a brief update about some WASB-related stuff.
Thank
Nothing
you.
big,
Okay.
just there's some things that are going on this year, and I thought I'd maybe give an update to the board about it.
That's a great idea. Thank you. Anything else? All right, we are going to schedule upcoming meetings. The Educational Program Committee will meet Monday, March 4th at 6 o'clock. Finance and Facilities will meet Monday, March 11th at 6 o'clock. Personnel will also meet Monday, March 11th at 7 o'clock or immediately following Finance and Facilities. The next regular board meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 25th at 6 o'clock. I'm reminding the board that there is going to be a school board retreat on Monday, June 3rd at 3 o'clock. All of those meetings will be held here in the district office. There's a chance that the retreat might be at the high school, or maybe
I'm
not.
planning on
Oh, okay, having it here, all right. If for some reason there is a need to adjust these meetings and the order, just based upon needs of the district, we will make sure to let everybody know, but just schedule those.
It's out of order because of spring break.
It is because of spring break. Yes, yes. Correct. Because the third Monday would be during spring break, and that doesn't work for some people. All right. June 3rd is a Monday, and so rather than starting our evening together at 6, we will start our afternoon at 3 o'clock.
And I don't think that would be normally ed programming, but I think we talked about not having ed programming. You can have it on the.
Unless Nate really
You
needs
can do
it.
it on the 10th.
Yeah. And
Talk to the chair about that, so.
it's always also possible to have things go directly to the board or to call another meeting if we have to. Anything else? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.